Welcome to eClinicalWorks podcast. I'm your host, Marzia Fatima. Today on our podcast, we have Brian, who is our product manager from eClinicalWorks, and we're going to talk about PRISMA and the new enhancements we've done as part of version 12, which was released a few weeks ago. So Brian, let's start with the basics. Patient Record Information Search Module Aggregator, or as we like to call it, PRISMA. Why was it developed? What was the business reason behind it?
Hi, Marzia. Thank you for having me. So the idea behind PRISMA is the fact that in the current EHR that eClinicalWorks has today, it's an encounter-centric EMR. So historically speaking, if the provider wanted to find some information within the patient's chart, they would have to search through each encounter-centric episode to find that clinical information. The idea with PRISMA is going to take all of that internal information, as well as all of the patient's external information that comes from the interoperability hub from external practices that are participating in Care Quality and Commonwealth Health Alliance. And we take all of those encounters, internal and external, and smash them into one product called PRISMA. And the idea behind the product is we give the clinician a one-stop shop to quickly cipher through all of the clinical data within the patient's record, but more importantly, give them the ability to search for any keyword to quickly find that clinical information the clinician is looking for within the patient record.
All right, so we have all of the clinical data provided to the clinicians at the point of care, and you're saying we also have the ability to search it by keywords and filter it that way. With the new PRISMA features in version 12, now that we have all of this information in one place, let's take an example of labs. If a patient is a diabetic patient and getting their CBC done every 3 months or 6 months, how does the clinician analyze that data?
So there's a couple of ways the clinician can analyze that data within PRISMA. So the most common way to analyze that data is the fact that PRISMA, at the end of the day, is a search engine. So if the clinician comes in and types CBC within PRISMA, PRISMA will quickly find and show the user a nice little widget of all the patient CBCs that have happened internally and externally in the past 12 months. And that information will be displayed in a nice grid or graphical view, depending on the user's choice of how to view that data. And the user can see all of those CBC results trending over the course of time. Now, that is the quickest way for the user to find that information, as well as the user can also find that information within the Clinical Insights tab within PRISMA, where we also display the patient's cumulative lab results as well.
All right, that's amazing. We talked about cumulative lab results. Is there a way for a provider to see everything that was ordered for a patient, including labs, medications, referrals for a particular disease? So if my patient has multiple diseases in the problem list, is there a way to see that data for a particular disease?
Yes. So within PRISMA, there is a tab called Clinical Insights. And within Clinical Insights, we have a subsection in which, since now we have all of the data aggregated into one product, once again, that internal and external data, all that's aggregated there, we can now showcase the data not in an encounter-centric format, but now in a problem-based format. So to answer your question, for example, if the patient was diabetic, now you would see diabetes as the qualifying diagnosis for that patient, and you would see all of the related vitals, labs, medications, and referrals that have been documented with accordance to the qualifying diagnosis. And you'll see that all within the Clinical Insights tab within a disease-based view.
That sounds amazing. I was able to find the data, filter the data. Is there a way for me to save it as part of the patient's encounter? So if I'm looking for something today and I'm seeing the patient today as well, is there a way for me to sync that up with my current encounter, or how does that work?
Yes, there is 2 ways the user can import the data within the eClinicalWorks patient chart. The first way is the fact that if the user wants to include the totality of that external record, meaning I want to import the entirety of that external record, that functionality is available in PRISMA, and that record would be saved within the patient documents for that patient's chart. And the second way is the fact that within that external data, PRISMA can now discreetly import the patient's problems, allergies, medications, or immunization history into the progress note as well. So the user can choose whether they want to import the total external record within the patient documents, or they can import specifically, just the problems, allergies, medications, and immunizations if they choose to.
Perfect. And then lastly, how can a clinician or anybody in the practice access PRISMA?
So there's a few ways the clinician can access PRISMA within V12. The most common way is the fact that anywhere the right chart panel displays, also known as the interactive chart wizard, anywhere that right chart panel displays, there'll be a nice little button on the top of the header called Hilo Insights. When the user clicks on that button, that launches the Hilo Insights PRISMA product, and all that functionality and everything we discussed will be there. As well as other common ways you can access this product within V12 is within the floating toolbar. So within the floating toolbar, there is a way to access PRISMA from within there as well. And also you'll see PRISMA throughout the various EMR screens in which external clinical information can be viewable. So to give you the example, say you're accessing the patient's allergies or their labs DI procedure history. Within those native EMR screens, you will see a tab in there to view the patient's external data as well. So you'll start seeing the PRISMA data aggregated within native EMR screens as well. So long story short, in V12, you'll constantly, there's common ways to access PRISMA from the right chart panel and in the floating toolbar, but you'll also be able to see that external data embedded as well into the native EMR screens.
Thank you, Brian. This was very insightful. If you're watching this podcast today and you still haven't enabled PRISMA for your practice, please reach out to your strategic account manager or open a case, and we will be more than happy to help you enable this free feature for your practice. Don't forget to like our video and watch other podcasts on iTunes, YouTube, or my.eclinicalworks.com. From eClinicalWorks podcast team, this is Marzia Fatima. Thank you for watching.